What is part of what continent? If you're like me and you like obsessing over the fact that Turkey is both in Europe and Asia, that Malta isn't Europe, it's Africa, and that Indonesia is split between Asia and Oceania, then congrats, because this video is for you! So what do I mean when I say all of this? Like, how is Oceania even a continent? And how does any of this even matter? Well, to start off, what even is a continent? To many definitions, it is a vast piece of land surrounded by water. And because this can easily be confused with a simple island, some definitions add that all continents must be separated by an ocean. Alright, so according to this definition, there are 3 continents in the world: Afro-Euraustralasia, America and Antarctica, right? Well, yeah, since Europe, Asia, Africa and Australia aren't separated by any ocean, nor are the Americas, and finally Antarctica. So that makes 3 island groups and it respects the definition. But no, we all know that there aren't 3 continents. So even if that answer is more logical, our way of thinking doesn't respect anything about the definition. And it's a constant fight between what you think and what others think. So I wanted to suggest something here. What if there were 7 continent bases, as those we see in this map, and then each other island is part of the continent it's closest to? That way we mostly keep our always thought vision of the world, and every island is part of a continent. So get ready to get steady, because what I'm going to show you right now was 4 hours of preparation made with GameMaker. Here every dot is going to expand in all directions, creating other points which will do the same, up until another expanding continent is encountered. That way, we can see what continent is the closest for every island, and thus complete our gorgeous new world map. Ready? Go! Okay, so that's it? That's our world map and everything just done? Well, of course not. The map here is unadapted, and I forgot to make it that points could scroll from a horizontal side of the map to the other. And I managed to make America a continent, instead of the true America continents. Let's try that again. Here's the image in better quality. You might wonder why I made the simulation so pixelated now. Effectively it's 128 by 128, smaller than the lowest quality for a video to be displayed on YouTube. This was because for each frame the program had to calculate each new expansion 128 by 128 times or 16384 times, which was already super laggy, especially when I was recording. So now we have a map vaguely representing what islands are in which continents. So remember when I told you Oceania was a continent, not Australia? Well, just see yourself, the continent goes all the way to halfway through French Polynesia. It goes north to the Marianas and south to New Zealand. So this is why Oceania is more accurate than just Australia for this situation. But as we're in Oceania, let's talk about Indonesia, clearly separated through the 3 main islands, Java, Celebes and the Dobelai Sea Peninsula. But the question of what continent is Indonesia lasts from much longer ago and started to get more importance at the independence of Eastern Timor, which considered itself being part of Oceania. And while we're with Asia, let's take further to its separation with Europe and Africa. Most representations don't make it seem very logical, as they make the separation go through the borders between Egypt and Israel, the borders of Turkey, making it entirely in or out of Europe, vaguely through the Caucasus and the Urals. Why do I say it's illogical? Well, not only are these borders so vague because they pass through land regions or disputable when they go through political boundaries, these borders don't even pass through water in any sort. Well, still, it's true. That doesn't mean they're incorrect, but my problem with them is they are only correct because they're the conventional way of doing. People only use them because they're used to it, even when they don't make any sense whatsoever. My representation makes these borders go through the Egyptian and Turkish canals and through the chain of rivers and lakes that link the Black and White Seas. Anyways, we've got to move on to the Mediterranean for the biggest heartbreak of those who live there. Because no, not all Mediterranean islands are closer to Europe than to Africa or Asia. A notable example is Sardinia, barely closer to Tunisia than it is to the Italic peninsula. So sorry for those who fell into this Illuminati world plot, but geographically speaking, and according to this definition, you're Africans. Same goes for Cyprus. It's totally Asia, and even some Greek islands are Asian, although it's already a debate whether they're inhabited or not. Even for Crete, which is equally distant to Turkey and Libya. And don't even start me with Malta. This hectare is definitely Africa. Oh yeah, and also, apart from the lost in the Atlantic Azores, the Portuguese and Spanish outer seas are the farthest they can be to being part of Europe. And finally with Europe, Iceland is barely closer to Europe, while most of Greenland is the closest to North America. So even though they are pretty close to each other, those distances clearly show that Greenland and Iceland are in different continents. Now for the Americas, there's only one thing to notice. Half of the Caribbean is South America. This shouldn't be too much of a surprise though, when you see how close these islands are to Venezuela. By the way, those two continents are sliced by the Panama River, and it has water, so it's accurate. Between North America and Asia, only one thing to notice, some Aleutian islands are part of Asia. Although seeing how populated they are, let's just say the same as for Greece. No one cares. And last note for the land where you're most likely from if you're watching this. Hawaii is more Asian than it's Oceania. It's so bizarre people think it's not North America, come on. And pretty strangely, the eastern part of French Polynesia and Pitcairn are South America. Pretty unnatural. But when you see how far they are from Australia, everything starts to make sense. A fun side note of this map is it kinda makes a quadri point between Oceania, Asia and the Americas, right where Kiribati is. That makes this country the only one in Oceania to be part of 4 continents. Apart maybe from France, but this is a completely different subject. And for last, Antarctica, which, as you can see from the simulation, the entirety of the ice around the main island is taken as part of the mainland, instead of just the main island alone. Because of memory issues, I've decided to launch the simulation with the wrong parts of Antarctica included, and call it a day. But just note that it's not very important because all that happens is that Kerguelen and the South Georgia Islands are added in. Nothing much else to say here. Show the list of country changes. Well, that was it for today. Maybe today's video wasn't that great nor interesting, so thank you a lot for watching all the way through. It was really boring and frustrating to make, especially to write like 5.5 pages. And yeah, thanks for watching, bye bye.